McGuire,
Here.
McMurtry,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Moran,
Here.
Zhang,
Here.
and Ortega.
Aye. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Land acknowledgement, Commissioner Jevin Singh.
Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to make the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We want to acknowledge the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and the other nations of people who also called this place home. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-Native people to live and work on traditional Native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on the agenda of June 10th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Jevin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
McMurtry,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes of June 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Jevin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
McMurtry,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. We have the Pride Month proclamation. Commissioner Jean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to invite the rest of our folks who are here for the Pride Month proclamation. Good morning, Chair Ortega, Commissioners, County Manager Becker. I'm proud and very honored to present this proclamation this year for June 10th Pride Month proclamation. This month honors the legacy of the Stonewall riots and the courage of those who sparked a movement for LGBTQIA+ rights. Today, Ramsey County reaffirms its commitment to the principles of equality, inclusion, and dignity for all. Ramsey County is proud to foster a workplace and community where everyone, regardless of their gender identities or sexual orientation, may show up as their true and full authentic selves. Through policy, training, and support, Ramsey County continues to build an organization rooted in equity and belonging. In times when civil rights are being challenged across the nation, a strong commitment to inclusivity remains more important than ever. Ramsey County is proud to stand in solidarity, celebration, and continued advocacy with LGBTQIA2S+ employees and community members. And for us here, that means that we are able to deliver our services for our residents when our employees are able to show up as their true and authentic selves and don't have the shame or just the pain of explaining to folks who they are. And I think that that's the best way that we can continue to support and deliver on great services for Ramsey County residents. So I'm proud to present this proclamation. So with that said, I'll read the proclamation. Who may I present this to? Okay, please stand next to me. Whereas the month of June is recognized internationally as Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall riots in June 1969, which sparked the gay rights liberation movement, and whereas the United States, with its constitutional protections of liberty, continues to provide a foundation for LGBTQIA+ communities to thrive with purpose and promise. And whereas Ramsey County has been advancing equity and inclusivity by embedding policies, training, and resources to foster workplaces where LGBTQIA2S+ employees and community members feel respected for their authenticity and supported in their well-being. And whereas Ramsey County employs over 4,000 individuals with diverse identities, including race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, age, ability, and lived experiences, contributing to a stronger, more vibrant workforce. And whereas Ramsey County remains steadfast in its commitment to fostering inclusivity, equity, and belonging, especially in times of uncertainty, and recognizes that in the face of growing national attacks on civil rights and access to gender-affirming systems of support and care, such inclusive practices are more essential than ever. And whereas the Pride, LGBTQIA2S+ employee resource group, established in 2023, promotes a safe and inclusive workplace culture through sponsored trainings, networking, and the pronoun normalization campaign. And whereas Ramsey County acknowledges the critical role of employee resource groups in advancing equity within the organizational culture, providing spaces of support, and ensuring all employees have the opportunity to thrive. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners declares June 2025 as Pride Month in Ramsey County and encourages all residents, employees, and community members to celebrate Pride Month in the spirit of love, acceptance, and unity. Thank you. And then at this time, I'd like to invite you up to say a few words, and then following the remarks, for you all to come in, just introduce yourselves and your connection to the county, as well as your gender pronouns, too. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Ivory Love, she, her pronouns. I co-lead the Pride ERG with Bex and Gray. Bex is not here right now. They're on maternity leave. And Gray is not here right now, but they're here in spirit. You said plenty that I wanted to say as well, but I just want to start with, let us be clear, diversity is not a threat. It is essential to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When policies aimed at inclusion are attacked, it is not about safety, it's about fear. It is about control, and it is about silencing those who refuse to be invisible, and we refuse to be invisible. As ERG leaders in Ramsey County, we stand firmly with our LGBTQ2SIA+ colleagues, neighbors, and youth. Our commitment is to inclusivity. It is not just a statement, it's an action. It is the promise of a future for everyone, regardless of gender identity expression, that is seen, valued, and safe. This Pride Month and every month, we affirm that belonging is a right, not a reward. We will continue to speak up, show up, stand up for policies and communities that reflect the full, beautiful diversity of who we are. Thank you.
I'll start and then we'll kind of go around circles. So. Chair, Commissioners, County Manager, Jason Ying, PGP, he, him, she, her, and I am your Chief Clerk.
Good morning. I'm Meredith Hicks, she, her, and I'm with Aging and Disability Services.
Good morning. Beatrice Meadows, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm a youth program specialist in Workforce Solutions.
Good morning. My name is Castalvo, pronouns they, them, theirs. I work in the Ramsey County Library Shoreview branch in circulation.
Good morning, everybody. Jackie Secura, County Manager's Office.
Good morning, all. Nicholas Hansen. I work with Petrus, tax forfeited land. He, him.
Good morning, Jerica Gomez, County Community Economic Development, and I go by she, her.
Good morning, Noelana Gates, or Noe, Public Pathways Coordinator out of the Workforce Solutions, and she, her pronouns.
Good morning, Kim Bailey, she, her pronouns. I'm in diversity, inclusion, and organizational development, soon to be in social services.
Good morning, Josh Cabot, eligibility specialist in FAS. I feel like I'm supposed to do an icebreaker. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Cassandra Adler. I'm the Community Advisory Council Coordinator. And thank you for embracing the tapestry that is diversity for residents and the employees of Ramsey County.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your service.
Folks up in the front.
Yes, showing, absolutely.
Yes.
Best photos. Countdown to 3, 2, 1.
How dare it be in the way? No tears today.
3, 2, 1. And then 1, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. Thank you. Administrative agenda, Commissioner Jevon Singh.
I move the following administrative items. Number 4, appointments to the Personnel Review Board.
I'd like to pull that.
Number 5, appointments to the Community Health Services Advisory Committee. Number 6, appointments to the Park and Recreation Commission. Number 7, project account for Saddle Share Program. Number 8, joint powers agreement with the State of Minnesota for intensive supervised release. I'm going to pull that item. Number 9, certification of property assessed clean energy charges for energy improvements. Number 10, eligible projects for the Ramsey County Transportation Sale and Use Tax Funding.
I'd like to pull that item, please.
And that is it.
Second.
Thank you. Hearing no further discussion on those items that were moved. Roll call, please.
Jevon Singh,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
McMurtry,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. Item number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to move this item, and before we officially vote on it, just wanted to, on behalf of myself and Commissioner Jevon Singh and Commissioner Miller, who had the opportunity to conduct these interviews, not only for the Personnel Board, but also for the Community Health Services Advisory Committee and the Parks and Rec Commission, just to thank all of the residents for their interest in being a part of these advisory committees. This was the second year that we've conducted small interviews to get to know all the folks who were applying, and it was just great to hear folks' passions, their professional expertise, as well as their lived experience, and why they wanted to be a part of this work. And I think it's a testament to just the passion in our community for folks who want to step up and really make a difference however they can. And so it's also, I think, a reminder for us to let people, make sure people are aware throughout our districts of these opportunities. You know, we have a number of different boards and commissions that are residents-led and that residents can apply to and be a part of. And so when those opportunities come up, I encourage everyone to put yourself out there, and if it's something that you're really passionate about, to apply for it. So just want to acknowledge all the amazing folks who are included on this list, and want to thank the commissioners for all of their work during this process.
Thank you. Can
Second.
I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, roll call.
Jevon Singh,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
McMurtry,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. Item 8.
Yes, this is the joint powers agreement with the state of Minnesota for intensified supervised release. I pulled this just because I wanted to hear from staff a brief overview on this item. Sometimes these look to be very procedural, and they are, but there's a story behind this moment in time in the program, and it's a chance for us to get a little picture window into the progress that's going on.
Come.
Oh, let's go ahead. Oh, right.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you for having us, commissioners. This joint powers agreement.
Oh, please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, I'm Valeria DeRusha. I'm Assistant Division Director of Administrative Services and Community Corrections.
Good morning, everyone. Kim Stubblefield, Deputy Director with Corrections.
This joint powers agreement that's before you today, the reason for it is we've had a grant with the state of Minnesota for many, many years, dating back as far as 1998 that we could find, where we supervise individuals who are being released from the Department of Corrections and supervised release here in Ramsey County. This year, it's changed from a grant to a joint powers agreement, which is why we're before you. But we've been providing these services to individuals for many, many years. This has just been a change in how we receive the funding for the services that Ramsey County provides.
So just to clarify for the public, so it's a joint powers agreement between us and the state?
Correct.
Is that the JPA? Yeah, so it's the joint powers between the state and us. They've always given us money, maybe not enough, but they give us funding, but we're always needing what we really spend, but they give us the funding, but now it's instead of just an allocation, it's a joint powers agreement.
Yes.
One of the questions that I had is, in light of the anticipated closure of Stillwater Prison, this is a couple of years ahead of us, but how will this impact this program, and is there anything we should be aware of in anticipation of that along this line with this agreement?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So we were recently notified about the phase closing of Stillwater Prison that's going to be happening over the next several years. So it's in very preliminary stages, and we are not clear so far how many clients will be returning to community supervision and how many clients will be relocated to other prisons in Minnesota. And so we continue to work closely with the DOC to better understand what that phase closeout will look like over the next 3, 4, or 5 years. And we look forward to continuing to bring those updates to you as the commissioners, because we do foresee that it will have impacts on community supervision. In conjunction with that, we know that the DOC is working on the Minnesota Reinvestment and Rehabilitation Act, which is really looking at the way people spend time in prison, and it's really incentivizing people to participate in treatment and rehabilitation while they're in prison, and that will also have impacts on community supervision. And so we still have a lot of questions about it. We continue to meet with the DOC, and we are looking forward to learning more and then sharing as we learn. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just another shout out to our amazing supervised release and corrections department. The more that we supervise the people that have been released, the less likely it is that they'll return back to prison and back into the system. And so just shout out to the great work that you do in preventing the recidivism, which is people serve their terms, but then they go back out into society, and they need more skills, or they need just guidance as they re-enter. And so that is the supervised release that you provide, and thank you for that. And this new plan that the Department of Corrections has to do a lot, provide a lot of services for people while they're in prison, and then release them maybe a little bit earlier, which is actually a good thing for the public, for the people, and for the system. That it's just where the resources go. So there'll be less time in state prison and more time in our supervised release, and we just want to make sure that those resources follow those people that are now being maybe released appropriately, but earlier than usual, and we want to make sure we have the resources to supervise them in their release. So we'll be watching for that as well as a government relations team for those funds.
Thank you. And I just ask that you and Director Long continue to update us on those changes so that we can continue to communicate to our legislative partners to make sure we're ready as these processes evolve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I move this action item.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion, roll call.
Jebin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Aye.
McMurtry, Miller,
Aye.
Moran, Zhang,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. Item 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move item number 10, eligible projects for Ramsey County transportation sales and use tax funding for discussion, please. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to lift this up as since we had a public hearing as well as passed our All Abilities Plan, which was very big and transformational for the way how we funded projects in the county. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to make sure that some of the concerns that the public had that they are also heard, and invite our staff to come up here just for some of the questions that I had.
Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners.
Thank you. My first question, and thank you, Director, for being here, and Deputy Director. My question around this plan and the concern that we've heard consistently is just about that, this is it's funding transportation only, or like our roads and not transit. May you explain how this plan would go towards improving transit or adding more transit service?
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner, Chair, members. So when we think about that question, I would raise the Rice Street project as an example. If you look back probably 4 or 5 years, and Commissioner McGuire was a big part of this too, we had in our program to invest in Rice Street. And there were a lot of reasons why we were investing in Rice Street. This was a point in time where Met Council was soliciting for potential ABRT projects, so ABRT meaning arterial BRT. And historically, arterial BRT has been a model where Met Transit develops the project, pays for the buses, pays for the stations, and works in close coordination with the road authority to make sure that the road is set up in a way that gives transit the advantages that it needs. And that's the model that we used on Rice Street. It's pertinent to this in that when we came forward and said we were investing in Rice Street and looked at the corridor all the way down to Mendota Heights Road, there were a number of investments in the road network that would support that. So Robert Street in downtown, Robert Street south of the river, which really was a platform for improving that road to support better transit. And that's the model we're seeking. And so by identifying some of these corridors, some of them we've been working on for a long time, and so it's going to look the same as we have been planning for. Others, we're investing in corridors where we want to invest in more corridors with the intent of raising that, elevating that status so that we can see more arterial BRT in more places around the county, because that's the real deficit here in Ramsey County, is that there aren't a lot of frequent bus routes around the county, and that's our goal in investing in this. And so part of it is corridor-based, part of it is in isolated locations. We want to partner with Met Transit and invest in our system to improve the operations, because fundamentally, as much as we want to say transit is different than passenger vehicles, and they are, they're still operating in the same system. And so can we provide those advantages in that system for transit? And that's part of why we've identified both corridors and intersections and other isolated locations to provide that benefit to transit.
Well, just while you're describing that, can you just talk a little bit about what arterial BRT and BRT is bus rapid transit, and And what that means, just, I know you've explained it to all of us, but we have people watching this, that we just want to let them know that, BRT doesn't just go into a corridor. It has to, it goes on, it goes in places where we have to have preparation for that. So talk a little bit about what BRT means.
Oh, certainly.
And what that, yeah.
And probably, so there's a couple of elements, and thank you, Commissioner, for the question. If we look at a continuum of arterial BRT on one end and, say, exclusive BRT on another end, Gold Line is a great example of that standard of exclusive BRT. It basically runs in its own road. And so it's reliable, it has its own systems, and it's maintained, and that is a specific system only for buses.
And that's run by Met Council.
That is operated by Met Council. And that model was partial federal funding. The counties developed the project to a certain point, paid for all of the project development, paid for the design and engineering. We paid for half of the construction in partnership with Washington County. Met Council then picks up the project, gets it through construction, and then takes on operating. On the other end of the spectrum, you have things like A line or B line. And typically, those are busy, frequent bus routes where Met Transit is saying we need to modernize these systems. They give it off-board fare collection, they give it a more robust station, they give it real-time travel information at the stations. And so the investment has historically been mostly state funding on the transit side of things, paying for stations and project development and some of the electronic systems, where the road authority has typically been making whatever improvements they could to support that transit operation. So you look at B-Line, Hennepin County made a lot of investments in Lake Street. The work that we're doing on Rice Street is, again, an example of arterial BRT. And the differences are about both funding model, but about the level of exclusivity. And so our goal, where we seem to be evolving, is we're somewhere in the middle. There are places where we're looking at projects that have some exclusive lanes, like if you look at F-Line on Central Avenue in Minneapolis, that's an example of an arterial BRT, which was selected in the same process that G-Line was selected in. And it is about what kinds of advantages can we provide as a road authority. Does that help clarify, Commissioner?
Yeah, and we're looking at doing that in Ramsey County. I mean, we're looking.
Certainly, yeah.
These dollars are going to be using to build more of those places in Ramsey County.
As we progress on Rice Street, you'll see G-Line get built. That's probably going to get completed in 27 or 28. H-Line will come on the heels of that, which is Como in Maryland, and you'll see in the list of projects we'll be working on Maryland to develop whatever road improvements we can to support that. H-Line will also go down White Bear Avenue south of Maryland, and so that's another example where we've got on our list to do work on White Bear Avenue to try to prepare for those things. I will say that because they're coordinated and they're not the same construction projects, typically their timing is a little bit offset, and so we could follow with road work or we could precede with road work. In the case of Rice Street, we're preceding the transit investment with road work, but it can go both ways.
And just because you've asked this question about helping people understand this, it depends on whose road it is too. So if it's a state road, the state pays for most of that. If it's a county road, the county pays for most of this infrastructure to get ready for BRT.
Certainly.
So like on Snelling, it's a state road.
Yep.
So BRT is there, but it was a combination of Met Council putting in a bus, and then the county putting in the infrastructure around it so that we could have the facilities for all of us. So I think there's just multiple ways to fund these projects depending on who's in charge of that road, right?
Well said, Commissioner, and I would double down on that and say if you look at A-Line, which is replaced to 84, it was on Snelling Avenue, there wasn't a lot of road work that needed to be done. And so MnDOT, I think, paid something in the neighborhood of $15 million. If I remember right, A-Line cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 million in stations. And in that sense, if you remember, the A-Line route is Snelling down to Ford Parkway. The county actually did a fair amount of work on Ford Parkway because we had it in our program and it needed work in order to support transit. In some cases, the road work is not a big element of the project. In other cases, the road needs a lot of work, and it'll vary depending on the road authority. But in the cases of the ones that we've got on our list here, of Maryland and White Bear, they need a fair amount of work. And so that's why we've got them on our list here, to invest in them and make sure that we're investing in the right place to support the right things, both from transit and from the all abilities perspective. If I could make one more comment. Thank you, Mike. We identified Larpenteur Avenue, and we've been in conversation with Met Council about that as an arterial BRT. And that's the kind of thing where we'd be where we were 4 or 5 years ago, Commissioner McGuire, of saying, if we invest in this corridor, does that raise us up the list in terms of arterial BRT consideration? And it does. And so that's one of the things we're trying to do here, is by saying we're going to invest in this road and we're going to make some changes that will support transit. We want to see more frequent service for our residents in places where it doesn't exist today.
Commissioner Strong, then I have Commissioner McMurtry, and then Commissioner Moran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like us to also focus then on some of these items, on the new projects, how they were selected. May you speak through what are the plans that are guiding the selection of these projects?
Yes, thank you for the question. So there's multiple county plans that are impacting how we are going forward with project selection. So as you previously approved the 2050, or the All Abilities Transportation Plan, the 2050 All Abilities Transportation Plan, the resiliency plan, climate resiliency plan for the county, and the economic competitiveness plan for the county, and then the transit and transportation investment plan. So all of those plans go together, and they all tend to have shared goals and trying to point us in a general direction. The really nice thing about this funding is it helps to give a source and a way to pull the plans together to help us push forward more uniformly in that direction. And there's going to be some fits and starts to it because we're learning. This process is also living, in that it will definitely change as county goals change over time. But the great piece of this is resiliency goals are really impacted by making sure you have a multimodal network. Economic goals and inclusivity goals are really benefited when you have a solid transit system, transportation system where people can bike and walk conveniently, so they don't have to make every trip by a car. We have the All Abilities Transportation Policy that prioritizes PEDs, then bikes, then transit, and then cars. So that tells us, as we are rebuilding these roads, as we are looking at intersections, how to prioritize the improvements to make them ped and bike friendly first, because everybody's a pedestrian at some point in their journey. Then we can put the cars in and all that. So it's just a much more holistic approach, using all of these plans to push us in the direction we as a county and you as a county board have said this is where we want to go, based on all the engagement we've done through those plans with the communities.
And Commissioner, I'll just add to that. One of the things that when we put this, well, one of the things that we've been hearing is there's a concern that this is the last list of projects that would be eligible for these funds. And I want to emphasize that this is not the last list. That we intend to go through a process of evaluating these projects and moving them forward. And then as we progress, we'll add more projects to the list. And I think this is an initial list. Our goal in selecting these was certainly to reflect all of those plans, but part of it is that we want to see these things happen. A lot of these projects, with some limited examples, are projects that have been in development, that we've been working on. And so Maryland and parts of White Bear are places that we've been working on, and we want to see that happen sooner rather than later. So that's definitely a criteria here too, of we wanted to get started. That being said, I just want to reiterate, these are the beginnings of our work, and we'll continue to talk with you about adding things to the list going forward.
May you speak more to about the project selection coming up in the future, and will there be engagements around that?
So, yeah, Commissioner, For future project selections, ultimately, this process would identify projects that could be eligible for the sales tax. We'd ultimately adopt them into the transportation improvement program to provide funding and then program years and all that. But as we go into the future, we're going to have to pull together a set of how are we meeting all these criteria specifically for new projects. And part of that will be working with the communities as we go forward to say, hey, where are projects in your plan? What are things that are popping up on your list, so that we make sure that we're coordinated well with them on that.
Great.
And Commissioner, just to add to that, we meet with our cities every year as part of developing our TIP, and so this would be a touch point for us. In theory, we could do this whenever we need to. I think we probably want to be in a cadence of annually or less frequent than that, just based on that iteration of working with cities and hearing from other constituents about where things are at. Does that help?
Great. Thank you.
Harrison?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a few really quick questions, and I know that some of the contention is around understanding our involvement with West 7th and the work around the corridor. Does this plan completely remove the possibility of the county providing funds to West 7th?
Commissioner, thanks for the question. Just to be clear, it doesn't remove the possibility, but I want to be clear, the way that it's configured right now, it is a state road that needs reconstruction, and there's a trail component, and the trail is within the city, which typically isn't something that we do either. And so could this board decide to do some different things based on the configuration of the project? It certainly has the purview to do that, but it's typically, these are things that the county doesn't have a role in, and I think the current focus for the county is, at this moment in our universe and time, we're trying to focus on county responsible services, and we're pretty focused on the needs. And this is a fair amount of money, but we have a lot of needs on our system, and our residents expect that. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we serve all 550,000+ residents with these revenues.
And as a follow-up to that, with the work that's happening around West 7th, would this at all remove us from the table of us being in conversation with other partners around the development of that corridor?
It doesn't remove us from the table. We'll continue to be a partner and talk with them about our interests and the project and how it serves folks.
Great. No, I appreciate that clarification. I'm supporting this improvement plan, not because it's perfect, but because I believe it really sets a strong and flexible foundation that will help us build for the future. And I know a lot of the discussion that we've had and constituents who have reached out around West 7th. I'm happy to hear, for the record, that this does not lock out any single project. It is a living document, and that is, more crucially, it does not close the door for the county and our involvement in what's happening along that corridor. Even with it being a state road, our presence will still be at the table. We'll still be in the midst of those conversations. And honestly, I firmly believe that the county should be there, that we should be in those talks in shaping the development of that key corridor. And I speak for myself, I look forward to reviewing, potential proposals once it comes before this board, and also hope that it reflects a fair ask of what the county should be investing as it relates to all the partners that are involved. There's been a lot of conversation around this particular plan, and I want to just be clear, and you all have spoken so much about it, about what specifically is in it and how we're investing countywide, with the real focus on creating transportation and transit system that meets the needs of all abilities, that strengthens our economy, and that connects people in the community to jobs and to homes and to services. And so you all spoke to the different guiding principles that you have as you're thinking about future projects. And what I appreciate about this plan is that it really prioritizes flexibility. That it supports major transit investments as well as improvements to some of our key road corridors that makes them transit ready. And you spoke to Rice Street. I think that's a fantastic example of how, of course, with this with this construction, this major construction that's doing a full roadway construction of Rice Street, reducing it from 4 to 3 to 3 lanes, that's including ADA upgrades, that's improving transit stations, shorter pedestrian crossings, which are all important things for the safety and vitality of that corridor, but also introducing the needs for the G line that's going to be bus rapid transit along that corridor. So this is something that the type of investment that the North End community deserves, this type of investment, and so many other corridors across the community, including West 7th, deserves this type of investment. And so I believe that the county has a role to play in making that happen, and I firmly believe that this plan doesn't remove our role in that work. And so I'll end with this. I think that this plan, it does a lot, but perhaps one of the most important is that it gives us momentum. It doesn't just lay out a map, it gives us the ability to evolve as the community needs change, as new projects become available. I know there's a few in my own district that comes to mind that I want to make sure that we're thinking about. And this is ultimately a strategic investment in our shared future, and it must include transit and it must include the county. And so I appreciate the dialogue we've already had. I'm looking forward to the continued dialogue that we have with our partners across Ramsey County so that we can build a sustainable transit system for everyone. So thanks again.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Moran.
Thank you, Chair. Just transition a little bit around corridor improvements. And so as I'm looking at the list of improvements that we're going to make within the corridors, you've been really specific around the White Bear Avenue, at Bean Avenue, and 94. And as we see many examples of specific locations. But I don't see that for St. Paul. So can you share with me what is your vision for the work that's going to be done in St. Paul? Maybe give me some locations, more specific locations in St. Paul.
So, I mean, as a general part of our program, we do a lot of work in St. Paul. I think with this initial list, there's not a lot of corridors identified in St. Paul yet.
Well, you stated it. I mean, it's here that you're going to do some work in, for example, you have White Bear Avenue, Bean Avenue to I-94, Maplewood to St. Paul, White Bear Avenue again, is that the St. Paul you're talking about?
I guess what I meant was corridors. There's not a lot of corridors that we're working on in St. Paul, but there's certainly a lot of locations, and certainly Maryland and White Bear are in St. Paul, and those are things that we will continue to work on. And so we'll progress with what we had talked about with Purple Line and the roads that are associated with that. We are looking at investing in White Bear south of Maryland, which will be a newer look at that corridor. We've talked about interchanges in St. Paul. I mean, is that what you're seeking, Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm just thinking where in St. Paul. So I heard you say Maryland, correct? White Bear Avenue, right? Okay, so those are the locations.
Those are the locations on this list today.
River's Edge Transportation Alliance, Union Depot Track. I mean, there's different projects in St. Paul.
I mean, there's a lot of work that we're planning as part of investing in downtown as well, which hasn't kind of fleshed itself out yet. There's a lot of work that we'll do at the depot, and we've done a lot of work in terms of maintaining Union Depot, and we'll do a lot more. There's investments in the deck and the transit facilities around the Union Depot.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm just trying to get some clarity.
Okay.
Trying to get some clarity of where those locations are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Director and Deputy Director, for answering the questions. One thing before I make my final remarks, too, is I see that attached here is our Ramsey County Sales and Use Tax Capital Investment Program Project Selection Fact Sheet. That's one of the attachments I see here highlighted that does lay out what you had spoken to, Deputy Director, about just our transit and transportation investment plan, our economic competitiveness and inclusion plan, our all abilities and climate equity action plan. That I think that this is really transformative for the county. Like, this is a first. I would say, like, the last few years when we have gotten the list of the TIP that came before us as a board, I always question about why there weren't projects and what went into the decision making. And several times it was just more about, like, you know, just the condition of the roads and never adding these additional indicators. And last week, I know that we've been talking about it so much, but I feel like we missed an opportunity to really highlight how transformative the All Abilities Plan is, and that what we're voting on today is actually to fund that plan and so many of our plans here that we have. That includes equity scores about people with disabilities, seniors, and people who don't drive that were added into that matrix to create the equity score, as well as communities where we have low income. And also safety was included in there about you know, the number of crashes, injuries, and or death on our roads. Also prioritizing transit access and reliability. Additionally, our environmental impact. And so these are all items that were laid out in our All Abilities Plan that we didn't lift up and speak up enough about, that I'm really glad that, you know, we are using these funds to help advance so many of our goals. So I just want to say that, you know, I'm really excited to support this and really excited to see that, you know, the purple line is on there. I just really want to make it clear to our residents that right now we don't have a federal program, a federal project for Purple Line. That Ramsey County, it is because of us that we are literally keeping this plan and project alive. And this is a way for us to pivot and to continue to invest in our roads and our infrastructure so that we can increase and partner with more like Met Council or Metro Transit to get more bus service and or build out both arterial BRTs as well as BRT. So this is why I'm proud to be supporting this. And again, you know, I echo what Commissioner McMurtry has already said, that this doesn't preclude other projects. We would love for more projects to come online, and we would love for more partners and deeper, greater partnerships. And it's absolutely up to both the cities and the state to be partnering with us to help us achieve this goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all. I think the discussion shows how much this board has really delved into this plan, and we're all well versed in what's going on. And we're doing it for the interest of the entire county because we're all connected. We all, while we might have pockets in my district that need jobs, those jobs could be in Commissioner Jevin Singh's district, and we need to connect those people and those jobs. I do want to make a statement because we've had quite a few emails, about 11, 10, 12, a dozen emails, and I responded yesterday on behalf of the board so we could address the issue. But as anybody who's watching could tell, that the board is really, to a person, fully versed on what we're doing and how we're moving forward. So I do want to thank everyone who has called us, sent us emails, testified before us. We appreciate them taking the time to do that. The purpose of the Transportation Sales and Use Tax Capital Improvement Plan is to ensure that the revenues from the transportation sales tax are invested in ways that directly support Ramsey County's All Abilities Plan. We keep talking about that. That is our North Star, so to speak. And it is the criteria by which we're making decisions. We will be improving Ramsey County roads, transit facilities throughout Ramsey County to make them accessible to people who walk, roll, or bike, and also elevate them to be able to support bus rapid transit opportunities, which is what you guys have been talking about, setting the stage so we can have more and better transit. We know that the East Metro has been lacking behind the West Metro in terms of transit improvements by the state. And so now we are partnering in many ways by being prepared to say these corridors are ready for more investment by the state. Ramsey County will continue to work closely with our partners as they advance improvements along the West 7th Street corridor. I and the staff have spent a lot of time on that corridor. We have a decade of work. We understand what the community wants, and we want a good project there. But that project, again, has to come, be part of the transportation plan, which is a living document. It will evolve over time. And as new priorities emerge, we expect to add projects. This approach ensures that we build transit and transportation systems that promote prosperity, access, equity, and resilience across the county. Projects we support are grounded in the alignment with our broader vision and guiding plans. I encourage everybody to look at our All Abilities Plan. That is so important. Please go to our website so you better understand what the county board, the direction we're heading, and how we're going to move forward. It doesn't exclude anybody, and we will continue to add projects, including the West 7th corridor. We need to make sure that we're inclusive and move forward. So I encourage everybody to stay in touch and watch the good work that our county is going to be doing in this area. Thank you guys so much for your work.
Commissioners, thank you so much for the support, and thanks so much for the recognition of what we're trying to do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
May I get a?
Second.
We do. In a second?
Yep. Yes.
Hearing no further discussion, roll call.
Jabin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
McMurtry,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zong,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. We now have a legislative update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, as we all know, the legislature finished their work, their budget work early this morning and late last night. The counties really had to be on the defense. I mean, they were really trying to find dollars wherever they could and shift that work to us without dollars. And I'm so grateful to our legislative team and Jenner Work and her team just did such an amazing job getting all of us to be down at the Capitol when we needed to be testifying, and working with all of our community partners. We really did some great work. Top of mind is the Metro sales tax money that they had proposed to take half of our Metro tax dollars and shift it to the Met Council. So we were very much working hard to explain to the legislators how that would impact the work that we want to do to get transit and work done in our communities, as we've been just talking about these last few minutes. So we all made phone calls, we texted leadership, legislators, we worked with our partners at AMC, at the Metro counties, and our Commissioner Zhang testified on Friday in front of the working group, which was a great showing of county support. Mm-hmm. We had all the county testifiers in one line just looking at the working group, and I think they really understood this hit to our budget. We would have had an $8 million hit to our budget in Ramsey County alone. So we we were grateful that that actually worked. So this weekend, they actually took that provision out of their bill, and we did not get that shift out of our money into Met Council. And so we're grateful to the legislators and to everyone who did all the work, and Commissioner Zhang did a great job. We also defeated the proposed cost shifts in the Department of Human Services world, especially for disability services and the Minnesota Sex Offender Program. They were trying to find money, as I said, and shifting it all to us, and we've defeated that shift. We fought off the county program aid cuts, which is the really bread and butter of our work, is getting funding to do the work that we do. And they were trying to cut that. We actually needed an increase, but they were going to cut it, and we fought off the cut in that. We were grateful that we kept the $35 million for the SSIS modernization. This is the systems modernization in the Health and Human Services bill, and we got $35 million for that. We really have a system that's really old and hard to work with, and so we've been really fighting hard with all the counties in the state for this. And this is the system that our child protection staff uses, and this was a big win for us, $35 million for modernization at the state, but it really helps all of us. There's a $55 million in the bonding bill for Miller Building at Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center. This will result in additional psychiatric beds, which we all need, and will help people get the care they need in a more timely manner. But it really helps all of us who place people in that treatment center. And the bonding bill did pass, and I was hearing Senator Pappas speak this morning that it's mostly statewide projects. There were no local projects. They made it, it was all about state agency infrastructure dollars that they were funding, but maybe hopefully next year we'll have a bigger bonding bill, which is the year they traditionally have a bonding bill, and we'll have local projects in that bill. But this bill was just a statewide infrastructure bill. On the federal side, we had good news from both Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith's offices on Thursday regarding congressional directed spending. This is previously known as earmarks, but this is where Congress directs spending. So between the three offices of Congresswoman McCollum and Senators Klobuchar and Smith, they're advancing 4 projects. The Opioid Addiction Recovery Response Project for $1.2 million. This builds off the violence reduction efforts in the county attorney's office and works with public health. So we're really excited about those dollars. And the Wet Bulb Project, which is a heat sensor project to help with some of our climate work and serving vulnerable communities. So we got $750,000 for the Wet Bulb Project. And we're very excited. We got $5 million for our anaerobic digester, which is a joint Ramsey County project. I shouldn't say we got; it's in the bill. It's in the it's requested. So these are, at least they advanced. So we're not done yet, but it just advanced in the bill. And then the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office had a request for a mobile crisis response vehicle unit at $330,000. So that was what our congressional delegation senators put forward in their member-directed funds. So we're grateful that those projects made it through. So and we're assuming that the bill will get at the state level now. We're assuming the governor's going to sign these bills, and so all the things that we talked about will actually happen. So I've asked our government relations, actually our county manager, we've asked our government relations team to come to us next week and give a full report of the state legislative outcomes that we're getting all the details on now, as the bills just passed last night. So we'll hear from them next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for you and Commissioner Moran's leadership at the state capitol. And thank you to all the commissioners that go up there to testify. I know my son took my place the other day on a quick turnaround, and I appreciate that. And I know everybody has done their part. It's truly a team effort around here. So thank you all. County Connections?
Yeah, good morning, Chair, members of the board. This weekend, Ramsey County will be attending St. Paul Pride Festival. It's going to be at Dual Citizen Brewery in St. Paul. This is a free public event that works toward a future without discrimination where all people have equal rights under the law and in the hearts and minds of each other. There will be a lot of great activities for all. We'll be promoting our jobs and our services at that event. I wanted to just say thank you to the Union Depot team. We had train days last weekend. It was a very successful event. We had over 10,000 people over 2 days come over to the Union Depot. Lots of diversity of attendees, from young babies to some older folks, families, train enthusiasts were definitely there. A big thank you to the railroads, actually, for providing significant train equipment for public viewing. Canadian Pacific, Kansas City, Union Pacific, Twin Cities Western, and the famous steam locomotive number 261 was there as a highlight. So a big commitment from them to get that equipment and really promote our Union Depot facility. If you haven't been over as well, 1881 also has opened their patio over there this summer, and so folks should check that out. I wanted to just highlight that that last couple weeks ago, the Metropolitan Council appointed our own Deanna Pesic, who's our Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer, to join their audit committee for a 4-year term. She will accompany members from U.S. Bank, Hennepin County, and the Metropolitan Airports Commission on the committee. And this move really validates the maturity of our processes at Ramsey County and is an exciting opportunity to expand our profile among our neighboring counties in the metro area. And then lastly, I just really wanted to highlight this. The Downtown Service Center will reopen on June 16th with expanded services and a significantly upgraded space. This has been many months in planning and renovations, and it's going to expand access to services significantly. In the service centers, we have navigators who help residents connect to county services and programs. We have financial assistance services, which supports SNAP, cash assistance, and emergency aid. We have child support services for assistance with payments, case updates, legal forms, applications, and genetic testing. Housing stability. This is a bit of a new expansion, including rent assistance, housing supports for residents who are experiencing the risk of homelessness. And just across the hall from that new service center is a newly remodeled and renovated career force location as well for people looking for jobs. So lots of natural light. It's about 12,000 square feet of floor space, significantly larger than our first couple iterations of service centers. 37 workstations, 4 offices, lots of focus rooms, self-check-in, kiosks, improved signs. So we serve about 4,000 residents or 4,400 residents a month at the service center. This should meet our demand, as well as enhancing privacy and reducing wait time. So our downtown service center is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30. No appointment is needed. Visitors can also, who drive, can receive a voucher for 2 hours of free parking at the Block 19 ramp as well. So I want to especially thank property management, enterprise services, information services, communications, and the many departments who serve the residents at our downtown service center, and especially thank Karen Francois for her leadership over much of that work as well as Deputy County Manager. So thank you, and I hope we can get you guys over there in short order as well for a chance to see that soon. So thank you. Done.
Thank you. Why don't we begin with you, Mai?
Yes,
Sean.
thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'll highlight that thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chair, to testify over at the Capitol and representing the Regional Rail Authority as Vice Chair. I also wanted to mention, related to our conversation here, is that the counties or local government has to fix up the road in order to prepare for transit too. So as we are fixing our roads, these dollars are so important for making that possible. And also, as Director Isaacson said earlier, that it actually moves us up it makes our projects competitive at the regional scale. So I just wanted to lift how important those dollars are to making sure that we actually advance transit. I attended a working group for the county's Raise the Age work group, led by Elijah Norris Holiday with the justice team. So this is a sub work group of our youth justice transformation work. We're going to implement a new law starting next year in August that raises the minimum age of delinquency from 10 years old to 13 years old. So with that said, we're anticipating just gaps or potential gaps in there. So we're bringing together cross-sector stakeholders, including all of our county departments, from community corrections to both folks in the sheriff's office and also social services together to help identify those gaps, as well as community-based organizations, legal experts, youth advocates, and system-impacted individuals to ensure that the policy shift leads to meaningful change at Ramsey County in how we respond to youth under the age of 13, as well as supporting their families. The other thing I wanted to add and to highlight for my community on the east side is last week the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency revoked the permit or took steps to revoke a permit from Northern Iron for failing to consistently complying and providing data to the MPCA to get their current permit into compliance. With that said, my office has been doing a lot of advocacy, as well as trying to organize county resources to help support, to help provide both information and also to let folks know about, what folks can do to mitigate harms that they see. However, it falls short since, we have very limited tools, and we need greater leadership from the state to actually provide more support and outreach and education there, despite some of those things that are happening. So later in July, our public health team is going to be doing a soil shop in partnership with the state to just let folks know about what they can do to remediate soil, how to have cleaner air inside their homes, and some of those steps that they may take. So more information to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, as promised, since we were short last time, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some things that were happening 2 weeks ago. It's not going to be that, but it's not that long.
I thought you would forget.
But yeah, no, I did not forget, Mr. Chair, because these are really important things that I'm going to talk about. No, there's just a lot going on, and we all know that. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to all of our teams, but our county manager and to our community and economic development team, because I presented at my city of New Brighton. We presented on the HRA and EDA, and so Commissioner Zhang was there, Max Holthusen and Josh Olson were all there to help present on the community and economic development and the work that we're doing with our HRA and EDA funds. All of my communities are interested in that, and so it was great to do that, to get their presentation. And then County Manager Becker was there with me, and we did a presentation on the county, and the City Council and the Mayor really appreciate this work that we're doing and the fact that we're going around. And I know we're going around to a lot of our cities. In fact, tonight we're going to Lauderdale, County Manager Becker and I, and tomorrow night going to Little Canada. So we're doing a presentation on what's going on at the county and how we're working with our cities. So many thanks to all that great work that's being done. I also toured the community hub with mHealth Fairview. It has the Fairview Community Health and Wellness Hub with their community advancement team. And that, I think most of us have gone on that tour, but it's just such an amazing tour. It is At the previous St. Joe's Hospital, they have three-pronged approach: community-based clinical care and outreach. They have an anchor institution that invests in social and economic well-being of communities they serve through everyday business practices to achieve health equity. And then they have a community health equity and engagement. They partner with community to improve health and advance health equity. I love that they have a community incubator there. They have an engagement structure, and they have inclusive institution. Their whole theme is food is medicine, housing is health, and connection is cure. I just love how they talk about that. And it's great to be partners. In fact, I'm a partner with them this Saturday. They are big sponsors of our Juneteenth celebration in Roseville. And so I'll be speaking at that because the foundation that I sit on the board of is also contributing to that. But M Health Fairview and our foundation are supporting that. And I'll be speaking with M Health Fairview, Keith Allen, our own Keith Allen, who has gone to work for them. But anyway, big shout out to M Health Fairview and the work they're doing with their Community Advancement Hub. And as I said, if you haven't toured there, I know they're taking all of us on tours. I totally recommend it. Also, what we just this last week, we had the Youth Justice Peer Exchange. The NACO brought a team of people from around the country to a small cohort of people that were they were, of course, incredibly impressed with the work that we're doing with our youth justice work. And I know that many of us were able to visit with some of them at a reception, but I just want to give a shout out to the amazing staff that we had. I was able to participate in most of it. Our County Attorney, John Choi, and our District Judge, Jacob Kraus, welcomed everyone, as did I, that morning, and talked about just some of the work that we're all doing together. Elijah Norris Holiday, who's really leading our work, is phenomenal. They all want an Elijah in their counties, and they're going to be bringing him in to talk about the great work that he's leading in youth justice transformation. And then we had so many amazing staff. Daniel Grebner and Joseph Steiner talked about risk assessments of evolution and implementation. Sophia Thompson talked about collaborative and accessible responses to youth mental health needs. Carl Johnson, and then we went on to a tour of the G.W. Carver Cultural Center, which was amazing. And that's on the east side, and Carl Johnson gave us that tour. And then our own Charlie Gill, who's a planning specialist with Ramsey County Workforce Solutions, presented on the Power Within Us presentation. We did a debrief, and people were like commenting on all of these things. Thanks to Opal West of the Annie E. Casey Foundation, who actually made this happen. It was supposed to happen, and then the government, the White House canceled all these funds to make this happen. But then Annie E. Casey came in and actually gave the funds so that this cohort could continue on. So many thanks to Annie E. Casey. On Thursday, Kevin Fleming spoke. He's from the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, Director of Youth Justice and Wellness Division, gave a great presentation on reimagining youth justice and prosecution. And then we went to the neighborhood house, and Shad Klukas, the Director of Community Care Center there, gave us a great tour of the great work that's being done at the neighborhood house. And so just shout out to all of our partners, our amazing staff, who really presented an amazing picture of what we're doing here in Ramsey County on justice, youth justice transformation. And I will say that they gave a real picture too. They talked about our challenges, which is what we're really good at doing here. Like, we really look them in the eye and say, okay, how are we going to deal with this? So they talked about the great work we're doing, but also the challenges that we have. So everybody that came was really grateful and put Ramsey County in a really great light at another national level. So thank you to everyone who presented and contributed to this effort, and a special shout out again to Elijah, who put it all together. Also, Active Living met yesterday in our inaugural hybrid meeting. We have a partner with the MnDOT out in the Roseville office of MnDOT, and we did a practice hybrid, so it was okay. But our next meeting in September will be a hybrid meeting where people can come in person or be online. We have been getting such a great turnout online, like 40 people were listening in from all of our communities, and we just had a great presentation on the Metropolitan Council Regional Bicycle Transportation Network, and talked about bicycle barriers, and this is barriers really for any trail that we're trying to do, and barrier crossings. So we had a great presentation. Ethan Austin gave that from our Public Works Department. And then we had a statewide bicycle and system plan presentation and discussion with Jesse Thornson from MnDOT. It was an amazing presentation. And then we obviously have still our green benches, so be active, be green. If anyone knows anyone who wants a green bench, all you have to do is provide the cement floor for it and the location, and we provide the bench. So many thanks to everyone who had a part. Active Living meets quarterly. Everyone is invited. They're amazing meetings. You can just listen in if you don't want to go in person, and we really are talking about our All Abilities Transportation Network and our active transportation. So it's really exciting and inspiring. I will say that it's always inspiring to go to those meetings. We have the Ramsey County League of Local Governments. Our Climate Action Work Group, our CLAW meeting is this Thursday, where we're continuing to talk about our work that we're doing with mobile homes. And then Friday is an all membership meeting, so you're all invited to listen in. These are Zoom calls, and we are hearing from our Climate Resilience in Action panel. So Abby Phillips, with our Climate and Health Program Supervisor, will be on a panel with Noelle Bakken, who's the Sustainability Specialist with Roseville. But they're going to talk about how our update on our Climate Resilience in Action. So it'll be a great meeting on Friday morning with our Ramsey County League of Local Governments, and you're all invited. I already mentioned our Roseville Juneteenth celebration, which will be on Saturday. It's one of the largest in the cities, and I know that St. Paul is having one, but we have a really big one in Roseville, and really proud of that. And I'm going to let Garrison talk about, or Commissioner McMurtry talk about our AMC District 10 meeting. I think you're going to mention it. It's on Monday, and I hope we all attend that. But I'll let you talk about that. And I know that Commissioner Javen Singh is going to talk about our joint powers. Our JDA, our Joint Development Authority for Rice Creek Commons, so I'm going to let her talk about that. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for letting me really talk about all the amazing work that's being done in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jebinson.
Yes, just a brief update on the Rice Creek Commons. Last week, Alanis requested an extension on the preliminary development agreement that's set to expire at the end of the month. Ongoing work includes multiple weekly internal subcommittee and full JDA meetings to continue development discussions. This is a big part of what I've been working on the last few weeks, and will continue to do so. The Q2 Audit Committee meeting was held, and I just wanted to say this is part of our Ramsey County commitment to excellence and the more robust and structured way of providing internal support. I will say, as a former executive director, having a robust internal audit team is kind of like having those side view windows or mirrors on your car. It helps you see the blind spots and helps you sleep better at night, knowing that you're just making sure all of the things are being done properly. So it's wonderful to have that group up and running. And then I wanted to highlight the Raise the Age work group. I'm just thrilled to be part of it and to see, as Commissioner Zhang had highlighted, the group of Ramsey County internal stakeholders that were at the table, who were really thoughtful in making sure that we're staging that work so that we're making sure we have the right people around the table, centering families, individuals, families, community providers, as well as any other stakeholders who've been part of this process at the legislature, who now are invested in how we implement this at the county. And centering a sense of trauma-informed work too, recognizing that people are impacted by crime, victims themselves, but often the youth that may be involved may have their own trauma and victim experiences that need to be incorporated in our approach. And so very excited for that thoughtfulness of that group. I wanted to highlight that the are all hands on deck for the financial aid services, or assistance services. Another 90-day sprint has concluded with some highlights. And just to say that regular SNAP timelines have improved by 25% between August of 24 and February of 25. General intake applications are now being assigned within 1 day of receipt. Since November of 2024, 81 FAS workers have been hired, with 76 remaining as of June 1st. This reflects the lowest vacancy rate for FAS in many years. The pilot project that was doing an application of confirmation messages, meaning you could use text messages to get updates on where your application has been going on. 90% of the applicants have opted into this, so this is really helping with communications in real time. Commissioner Becker, or County Manager Becker, mentioned the improved downtown service center, so excited to see how that's going to help. And I also want to say we continue to do this work, the county continues to do the work centering community itself. And so there are a couple of ways that we continue to engage our partners. One is that I'm very excited to be part of a team hosting a public assistance cross-sharing partner committee kickoff meeting that will be in late June. This is basically making sure that the partner organizations who are working with community members to get them connected to our services, that are partnering with Ramsey County or advocating for individuals who are engaged with our programs, are engaged in ongoing communication efforts, and to bring them in on some solution sharing and ways for that we can continue to create a web of network of relationships that make sure to support the individuals in our community who are accessing these services, and that they can inform the work that we're doing. And I ask my fellow commissioners and leadership within the public assistance programs, if there are organizations that you think we should be adding to this list, please let me know, and we'll make sure. This is the beginning of many meetings, so we anticipate that this will be a small representation of future organizations that will be part of these conversations. And that also Ramsey United, which is an opportunity for community members to engage regularly and to meet with staff, will be the next meeting will be on July 8th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the North End Community Center. So lots of ways for people to continue to inform our work. And then just, I appreciate County Manager Becker. I don't know when you sleep. You also will be at the City of North Oaks with me on Thursday, introducing some of our projects in the county. And I'm looking forward to the St. Paul Pride. I will be, stop and see me. I'll be at the NAMI table for a few hours.
I just want to add that I've gotten some input from various folks in the community. Our service is improving. So that's the acid test, right? I mean, last week, a couple of folks came up to me and said, hey, it was a quick turnaround. Things are improving. So.
And I will say, I've had folks who have heard about the new hires that we approved for Min Choices and wondering when we're going to feel those effects. And just, we ask for grace and patience. There is a lag between when you put an ad in the paper to say, come work for us, and when people are fully trained, certified, and ready to go and serve. So it is coming, and we continue to see improvements coming our way.
Thank you. Commissioner McMurtry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things that I wanted to highlight. First, a couple of tours that myself and Commissioners Miller and Jepensing had last week. First with Catholic Charities, Dorothy Day, which included the St. Paul Opportunity Center, as well as the St. Anthony residence. Both locations provide important services, supportive housing to a range of people in our community. And so it was great to meet with their staff and see how their operations are going. And we also had a chance to tour Merrick, which is one of the original day activity centers in Minnesota, serving nearly 450 adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And really another great opportunity to not only meet with the with the existing executive director of the group, but also meeting with the incoming executive director and discussing ways that the county can continue to be a good partner, both to Merrick and to Catholic Charities. I had a chance to meet with the International Institute of Minnesota. They're an organization in my district that really specializes in refugee resettlement, immigration, and citizenship assistance, and had a chance to meet with their group. They're doing amazing work around job training for a number of new Americans coming to this country, and this was just another opportunity for me to also get a sense of how the county can be collaborative and be a good partner in the work that they're doing, especially ensuring that so many of their clientele has access and an understanding of the different services and programs that we offer for folks here in Ramsey County. Yesterday, myself and Commissioner Moran had a chance to meet with a coalition of folks centered around the Snelling and University corridor. So this included the district councils for Union Park, for Hamlin Midway, the Midway Chamber, representatives from the city of St. Paul, specifically their neighborhood of community public safety, Metro Transit, as well as representatives from Beacon Interfaith, as well as Avivo, who operate the Kimball Court Supportive Housing Facility. This meeting, it was just really good for us to all kind of get together and provide updates for each of our areas, but to also just start conversations, especially as we enter the summer months, on the strategy around that Snelling University corridor, ensuring safety on transit and for folks around that community. And so just one of many conversations I know that we'll be having with that group on the safety around that specific corridor, as well as how we can further improve the economic vitality of that corridor. The Union Park District was one of our recipients for the Critical Corridors programming grant that we offered here at the county, and so they're going to be doing a lot of work in the coming months, pulling together a Snelling University Alliance similar to the Rice-Larpenteur Alliance, and working with community partners on how we can really spur economic growth at that critical intersection in our community. A couple of other things here. I had a chance to speak on Sunday with State Senator Umu Verbaden at the Episcopal Homes Senior Facility, and they have their Democracy Club, and we had a chance to go and answer a number of questions that they have. Formal, Senator Umu Verbaden had a chance to answer a number of questions that they had around the incoming special session that happened yesterday. We met that Sunday before, as well as the work that we're doing at the county, and it was just a really good chance for us to connect with residents there. And two final things. One, for those who may not have heard, that last Friday, the University of Minnesota announced that they would be closing and selling the Les Bolstead Golf Course in Falcon Heights. Of course, that area, that golf course is the land use authority for that space is the city of Falcon Heights, but this will start, I'm sure, a lot of conversation with community leaders and partners on what becomes of that space. I think it presents a tremendous opportunity for Falcon Heights and for Ramsey County, so I'm looking forward to the work that we're doing as a county to play a role in ensuring we have great development happening at that location. And then finally, as Commissioner McGuire mentioned, on Monday we'll be having the AMC District 10 meeting that'll be happening at the R&E. And this will just be a chance for us to meet and hear from the AMC president, from the AMC executive director, Julie Ring, as well as get some updates on our efforts around solid waste, as well as the Gold Line Project, and I believe the African American Preservation Act as well. So for those who can make it, it'll be on Monday, June 16th. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller.
Wow. So the WIB met last Thursday. The WIB has new leadership. Our new chair is Yolanda McIntosh from Associated General Contractors of Minnesota, and our new chair-elect is Jonathan Banks. He's the president of NCXT. I'm not sure if you say next. And just want to highlight that there will be a job fair in the Midway area at the Allianz Field on June 18th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I also want to give a quick Job Corps update. Last Wednesday afternoon, a restraining order was appointed to block the move of Job Corps staff and students. There is still another court hearing on June 17th, although there are still unknowns ahead. This does provide additional time for state and Job Corps to continue to coordinate housing resources for youth. Their current focus continues to be on housing and employment placement referrals for youth. Last Wednesday, they hosted a resource fair, and there were at least 25 organizations on site, including Ramsey County's housing, financial assistance, social services, and workforce development, or workforce departments. Usually in these incidents, it's a multi-organizational response. The state takes the lead. So as Ramsey County, we're in communication with the state offices to understand where we can support both in terms of logistics and also communication. I also want to note that as we were continuing our tours of onboarding, we did tour the medical examiner's office, and I just want to note that for such a great department, they utilize every square inch of that space. They do a lot of great work in such small quarters, so that was really informative, and just wanted to note that. And finally, on Friday, I attended my first state tribal partnership meeting via Zoom because I was not able to travel to Carlton up to Fond du Lac Band. And I just want to note that the purpose of this committee is the purpose of the state tribal partnership committees is to promote statewide understanding and compliance of both the letters of the law and the spirit of the law for the Indian Child Welfare Act, which is ICWA, and the Minnesota Indian Family Preservation Act, or MIMPA. And two, to improve outcomes for American Indian children, families, tribes involved in the child welfare system, so children are protected, families and tribes are preserved, and children remain connected to their families, communities, and cultures. And one of their goals or outcomes for this is to make sure that all counties have a great ICWA court system. And I'm really proud to say that Ramsey County is the model, that there's one of 5 ICWA court systems, and it's really great to be able to say that we are the model that this group is using, one of the models that they're using to help other counties establish their own. So kudos to our team for that. And meet you, I'm done.
Thank you. Commissioner Moran.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to say just how good it is that we give each other time to talk about all the good work that we're doing, and I think sometimes we miss this when we speed through it and don't allow the space for us to share, because I am learning so much from what all others are doing and what's happening, so I really, really appreciate it. I'm just going to open up just about the legislative report and to mention 3 things that are like, well, really 2 that is like big wins for Ramsey County. And one being the $35 million that we have gotten for the SSIS modernization in the Health and Human Service Bill. That is critical dollars that we need to upgrade our system. Definitely with the African American Family Preservation Child Welfare Disproportionality Act been implemented statewide in 2 years. It's really important that we have a system that is updated, that is modernized, that staff can utilize. It's not outdated. It's not a green screen that they're looking at, which really was causing many of our staff to just be trained and eventually just leave because the system is just so old. So that $35 million is really, really important to help us do that. And then the other $55 million in the bonding bill for the Miller building, it's not in Ramsey County, but it's the Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center, which is a site to create more psych beds. We are in a mental health opioid fentanyl crisis at this moment, and we really need more beds. And this is just a tip of what is needed with the crisis that we're facing right now. So I just wanted to just mention those 2 again, because those are 2 great wins for the state in Ramsey County.
So right on that, next year we could double down on that. We
Yes.
need that to happen again.
We need more. We definitely need more. I was going to do some federal updates around the youth justice piece because that's really important to me. But at the federal level, the youth justice premier, which really details the county roles and authority in the juvenile justice space, including oversight of juvenile court and youth justice services such as probation, detention, and reentry, which is really important. They highlight best practices, decision-making improvement, service gap solution, and the importance of stakeholder bodies that include youth voices. This is critical to have youth voices at the table to help define how we can better support, not just to intervene or use the back end, but go upstream and do more work upstream to prevent what we see happening with our young people. And then the FEMA. Secretary Norm decided to retain approximately 2,600 core responders, avoiding proposed cuts. I think that is really, really important as we are seeing more disasters happening across this country. It's really been able to respond effectively. I think it's good. And also looking at the sanctuary jurisdiction list with DHS following an executive order to release a list of the sanctuary jurisdictions by state, county, and city. There was some backlash on that due to the lack of brief and unclear criteria. So they're monitoring, NACO is going to be monitoring the situation and preparing guidance for counties seeking removal of that piece right there. So I just wanted to mention a few of those things. I'm excited about the grand opening of the service center. You know, this is a long time coming. When I first got elected 2.5 years ago, and part of my orientation was to visit the service center that I have to say, quite frankly, I was not so happy about. I know staff said it was an improvement from where they were before, but I think what we're going to see on June 16th is really going to be it's going to really show that Ramsey County was listening to residents, the need of folks who decide to, in their lowest time in life, to come to us to ask for support, that they will have a space that can support their need with 4,400 people a month in service in downtown St. Paul. The work that we're going to see happening there is huge. And I just want to reiterate to the public that there is public parking available for individuals. You don't have to drive. There is free parking where you get free parking for at least 2 hours. And I know with the upgrades that the wait time has, we are reducing the wait time for service. So glad to see that is happening.
Excuse me, Commissioner, since you mentioned it, do we know where that free parking is?
Yeah, it's at the Block 19 ramp. And we also
Right
provide.
across the street.
Right. And
Right
we
across the
also
street. So
offer.
that's on 7th Street.
Yeah, 7th Street. And we also offer Metro Transit passes too.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
Just so folks know.
Where is that at? I had a great meeting with Sheriff Fletcher. We're doing some work. I'm leading as one of the tri-chairs around bail reform. And part of bail reform is to give individuals the opportunity to be released without a bail and to partner with a community entity that works to ensure that they return to court, because that's often what doesn't happen. They don't return to court. So we want to create success in that area by providing them with the support they need, whether it's housing, whether it's clothing, to return, a cell phone so they can be contacted, services, mental health services, you know, whether there's substance use there. But what we was finding was that there's still some red tape that we got to work through to create access for things to happen for the community-based organization that is now doing that work with those individuals. And Sheriff Fletcher has been open to create a space at the jail where individuals are released for that community-based organization to be right there.
so they can make that instant connection with those individuals. And so really excited about the opportunity. They are visiting the jail right now, or sometime today, to look at the space in ICE space. I attended a meeting last night on behalf of the MAFA, it's called, which is the Minnesota African American Family Preservation and Child Welfare Disproportionate Acts. I say that because I hate acronyms, because usually I'm still trying to figure out what they mean, so I'm just going to say the whole name. And so we have created an advisory committee that is working with Ramsey County on as the pilot county, along with Hennepin County, to look at best practices, support services, partnerships. But we was able to hear from 3 community organizations, the Cultural Wellness Center, Partners for Permanency, which is a group of individual young people themselves who have went through the child welfare system. They are foster kids themselves. And also NetCat, which is the development, the Network for the Development of Children of African Descent, who have been around. All 3 of the organizations doing awesome work, have been around for many, many years, doing work supporting families, children, and community. Commissioner McMurtry spoke about the meeting that we attended yesterday with Hamlin Midway, and my office has been working hard on these issues around, again, around the fentanyl crisis that we're seeing in our communities, along with mental health, along with homelessness. They're all 3 are interconnected, and Jess has been working really hard along with Hamlin Midway, but also with the City of St. Paul, local community councils, from District 7 to 8 to Union Park to Hamlin Midway, working with public safety officials and residents around these crises that we're seeing. It is an all-hands-on-deck type of initiative where it is not someone's problem, but it seems to be all of our problems. And we need to be at the table to try to do some collective solutions around how we can create a resident-first model, that we're looking at residents and the impact this is having on residents, looking at public safety, but also recognizing that what we're seeing impacts small businesses. And so with that, I would like to just end with, I was looking at my emails, and, folks who are watching this, they are still responding to us not voting to support West 7. Right? Immediately they're responding, why didn't we? And I just want to say that we have some guiding principles around transportation here at Ramsey County. One being Transit and Transportation Investment Plan, the Economic Competitiveness and Inclusion Plan, the All Abilities Transportation Plan, also aligned with the Climate Equity Action Plan. And so we have, we talked about the roadways, the interchange safety, mobility improvement for all modes, the corridor safety and mobility improvement for all modes, the transformative and innovative projects that incentivize economic development, the Union Depot and the railroad projects that improve our vital multimodal transit hub, and other projects that advance our countywide mobility and resiliency goals. And so the work that we do here is very comprehensive, and there's absolutely opportunity and possibilities also keeping West 7 on the table. And we do that in partnership with others as a coordinated effort. And so I just wanted to speak to that again, is that it's not like it's off the table, we're never going to do it or see it again. It is there to come back before this board and for us to continue to do that work together with others. And I stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I quickly, because I do want to move
Could I just say I also had a small vacation, and I'm much needed. And so I did spend a week in California with my daughter and her family. So needed. Thank you.
Garrison, maybe I missed it. Did you talk about AMC?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay, so we are going
On Monday.
On Monday. I have a meeting in the morning, so I will be coming in late.
On that, Mr. Chair, the opening of the, service center is that day as well, but it's not a.
It's not the grand opening, Commissioner. We'll have another opportunity for you. We're going to actually do a bigger reveal of all the things in the building, including the Career Force location and some other amenities that have been improved throughout the building.
Okay, so that'll be another.
Yep, at another time, yep.
Just want to give a quick, because we do have, we have a regional rail meeting after this, and we have our luncheon, lunch and learn, where we're gonna talk about communications. And then we have two closed meetings this afternoon. But I just wanted to give a shout out to, on train days, I got a lot of good feedback, given St. Paul and downtown and all the issues it's facing. When we have any kind of activities, no matter who sponsors them, it's a big thing. And people really have told me, yeah, it's great that there are events like that where we take our kids and our family and we hang out for the day in St. Paul. And it's usually people coming from outside of downtown, right? And so that's the kind of thing we need. So again, another shout out for that. The other thing is that there was a big spread I think it was this weekend, I lose track of what day the newspaper, but on Landmark Center. It was
Sunday paper.
It was Sunday paper, thank you. It was the front page and then it took the whole page inside. Big article on Landmark and all the free activities for families and so forth. Ramsey County was very prominently talked about in that article. It was a full page center and the front page. So kudos to Landmark Center. And with that, I already gave the agenda. We have a full day today and we are adjourned. And now, one more meeting.